Hello traders, welcome to your Follow the Bots S&P 500 Daily Market Recap, sponsored by Zaner. Since 1980, Zaner has been helping futures, commodity, and forex traders trade smarter, faster, and easier.
Hello traders, Builder EA here with Follow the Bots. Welcome to the Daily Market Recap, a detailed review of the market structure and the key support and resistance levels in the S&P 500 E-mini. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2013. After breaking down below last week's low during Sunday's Globex session and selling off to 1666. Yesterday, S&P futures recovered from their recent decline and auctioned back into the upper trading cluster. The recovery rally that went on into yesterday's session continued overnight. The S&P auctioned up to 1692, modestly below the fractal highs that had developed during the previous week. After trading up to 1692 in the overnight session, selling pressure returned, and the S&P traded back down into yesterday's trading range, trading below the minor late-in-the-day support level at 1682, and auctioning back down at or near yesterday's low. After testing support at yesterday's low and auctioning back up to 1682, the S&P sold back down to the low and made a modest lower low, trading down 2 points below the prior low, where stops are typically located. After probing for stops 2 points below yesterday's low, S&P futures auctioned back up through the trading range, trading up to 1687. The market failed to trade above yesterday's close and did not retest the overnight high. Minor selling pressure developed, and the S&P pulled back to 1682 and auctioned back up to retest the high into the close. For a more detailed look at Wednesday's market developments, we'll turn our analysis to the 5-tick range chart. Here we see the overnight high at 1692, from which the S&P sold off. During the sell-off, in addition to the responsive selling at the high. During the sell-off, there was initiated selling at 1686 and then again at 1682. Prior to the open, the S&P had paused at or near yesterday's low at 1675. The initial retracement up to 1682 encountered a sell response. The computerized trading programs ceased executing to the buy side, and the S&P traded back once more to retest support. This sequence repeated itself a second time at the market's open. The S&P traded back up again to 1682, where the initiated selling developed during the sell-off from the overnight high, and pulled back again to retest yesterday's low. It was during the third pullback to yesterday's low when the computerized trading programs initiated trade below 1675 and probed for stops 2 points below the prior low. During the price discovery phase, the market found responsive buying at the low, and the S&P auctioned back up to 1682. There was a minor pause, but the buying interest resumed, and the S&P traded up to 1686, the second level in the overnight trading range where the initiated selling had occurred. Price made a modest higher high, trading up to 87, following which the buying interest fell away, buy programs waning occurred at the high, and the S&P pulled back down to where the earlier buying had occurred at 1682 and auctioned back up to retest the high into the close. As price traded back up to the high, the order flow events once again determined there was no buying interest above 1687. Sellers came back in at the bid, and the S&P pulled back down, ending the session at 1684. Coming into Thursday's session, resistance up at today's high is a weak reference point. Sellers at today's high are advised to be cautious. The S&P has already traded above the 1687 price level and had auctioned up to 1692 in the overnight session. The better resistance levels are up at 1692 and the fractal highs made last week at or near 1698, 1696. There is minor support down at today's low at 1673. However, should the S&P pull back again to 1673, it would be considered a sign of weakness and would increase the possibility that the market would sell below 1673 and pull back to retest support at or near Monday's low at 1666. That concludes our recap for the S&P 500 E-mini. If you would like to follow our real-time commentary, we invite you to visit us online at www.followthebots.com. Log on and join us some morning at the open.
For more information regarding Zayner's brokerage services or the content of this broadcast, contact Neil Rogers, nrogers@zayner.com, 312-277-0135. This is Cuerva from Follow the Bots. Happy trading.